Hey guys, welcome back, and in today's video, we will be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' new quarterback problem. With Tom Brady announcing his retirement earlier this morning, who will be the Bucs starter in 2023? In today's video, I've put together a list of 5 quarterbacks that I think could start for the Buccaneers next season. But before I get into it, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. We've got tons of videos planned for the next few weeks, Super Bowl content, and then all off season long we'll have free agency, draft, all sorts of coverage, so stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's get into it. Tom Brady announced his retirement from the NFL today. After posting a farewell video to Instagram, it surely seems like TB12 is done from the NFL for good this time. He had a pretty underwhelming season in Tampa, and now they have a bunch of question marks surrounding the quarterback position. They have no proven veterans on that roster already that could take his spot right away. They drafted Kyle Trask a few years back in the second round, but I don't think he's a starting quality quarterback in the NFL, and he feels like he's going to be a career bench guy. This is a solid free agent quarterback class, however, and there are a few names I think they could target. They also could technically trade up and draft a guy in the draft. But to me, Tampa has more holes on this roster than need be, and they're a team that I still think they've got a lot of veteran talent. I don't think they're in the position to necessarily sit around, wait for a younger guy to develop, so that one doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And I can't justify trading a bunch of future draft assets to move up in the draft this season for a guy that, unless you're getting the number 1 pick, I just don't think it's really worth it. They have some decent weapons on offense and defense, but this team is getting older. Holes in the offensive line, secondary, and an aging defensive line, there are a lot of question marks surrounding Tampa Bay. So where do the Buccaneers go from here? What players make sense here? Another thing I want to disclaim now, I just can't see Tampa moving multiple firsts and draft capital for a superstar. I don't think Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers are really on the table here, so this is going to be 5 solid bridge quarterbacks for the next few seasons that will just help them position them to draft their franchise guy moving forward. So here are the 5 names, let's take a look at them. The first one, this one would be awful, Tampa fans, and I really hope this one doesn't happen, but I think it is potentially possible, and that is Carson Wentz. I'm a Colts fan. I know how bad Carson Wentz can be, and how bad he is most of the time. Washington took a flyer on him last year, and I think he's a potential cut candidate. He was awful last year, even before and after the injury, just turning the ball over at untimely times. He's not very good. If he is cut, I could see the Buccaneers signing Carson Wentz as a potential bridge quarterback until they can find the answer. He will likely be a super cheap option if cut, and I can see him brought in. He had a thumb injury in 2022 and was benched. He's just been a massive disappointment since the injury in 2017. He's really never been the same player as he was when he nearly won MVP in 2017. Teams keep biting though and thinking Carson Wentz can turn it around, and unfortunately, I could see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being another victim of Carson Wentz just destroying a franchise. I think this is pretty unlikely, but of the candidates I see, I think he's one of the 5 most likely candidates that could be a starter for Tampa next year. The next one's a little interesting. I kind of like Gardner Minshew to Tampa Bay. Minshew Mania makes its way down to Tampa Bay, back to Florida where it all started. He started a couple of games for the Eagles this season, and it wasn't like super impressive, but he did have 679 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. However, the Eagles were 0-2 through this stretch as they lost to the Cowboys and the Saints. When we've seen Minshew play, however, he's been a really solid option. He has a solid arm, can run around, and if he can protect the ball and not turn it over, he could be a really solid starter in the NFL. Tampa Bay has pieces that could help him out, and I think it's a pretty solid fit for him, to be honest. Over his career, Minshew has 44 touchdowns to only 15 interceptions, which are very solid numbers. And look, I know it's not the biggest, flashiest name in the world, but I think Tampa Bay is looking for that bridge guy, a guy that can just kind of fill the gaps for a couple of years. Minshew is a guy that the fans would love, and I think he could be a solid starter in a weak division. I think he could get you the division title. He might already be the best quarterback in that division if you throw him in there immediately. So I think Tampa should give him a chance, and I like Gardner Minshew as another option for the Buccaneers. These next 3 are the most likely names, in my opinion. The most likely guys that I think could suit up for Tampa Bay next season. First off, it's Baker Mayfield. After an absolute disaster in Carolina, Baker Mayfield was cut midway through the season and went to the LA Rams, and he really showed some flashes and played really well. With no wide receivers and an awful offensive line, Baker Mayfield won a couple of games for the Rams, and he was able to take care of the ball and not turn it over nearly as much as he had become accustomed to in Cleveland and Carolina. I know the label game manager gets used a lot, and it's often looked at as a negative, but not every quarterback is going to be a superstar and make incredible plays. You've seen game managers go all the way to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. You've seen different options of that. Tom Brady has kind of been a game manager for the last few years, and Tampa won a Super Bowl in 2021. Baker earned another chance in the league based on how he played in LA. He really showed he still has the potential, and I think he just needs a spot and a team that's going to believe in him. And I think Tampa Bay would be very smart to bring him in on a 1, maybe 2-year deal, sign him. You've got the wide receivers on this team. I don't think there's too many teams that are really going to go after Baker Mayfield to be a starter, but I think Tampa is one of those teams and a team that should pick up the phone and try and bring in Baker Mayfield. Derek Carr and the Vegas Raiders are headed for a trade, and I think Tampa makes perfect sense. He's a solid veteran with playoff experience and would be going into a really great situation. Carr has been a very solid quarterback his entire career. However, he has been plagued with horrible decision making in the front office, bad coaching decisions, bad management, and not really having any talent around him. Now, they did bring talent around him this year, but the coaching was an absolute disaster. He got benched the last few games of the season, and I'm very curious to see where he ends up. Tampa Bay has a good management team and a nice assortment of talent on both sides of the ball, and I think it would put Carr in the best position to win. I also don't think his trade market's going to be too crazy. Unlike Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson, I don't think Derek Carr is going to go for a first-round pick. I think at most Derek Carr is going to go for is 2 second-rounders, 1 this year, 1 next year. I think Tampa should definitely make the call and make this happen if that is the offer in fact. He's got a good arm, can win games for you. This is a good roster with some talented pieces. Yes, they're getting older. Carr fits the timeline. I love this for Tampa Bay. So Derek Carr is another option. And the final option to me, and it might be the most likely option, is Jimmy Garoppolo. This one is another one that just makes a lot of sense to me. He's just as solid as they come. If he can take care of the ball and run an offense that caters to his skill set, if the offensive line can fix their holes and protect him a little bit, he can take you to the Super Bowl. This is a solid offense, as I've said, that yes, they should probably look to improve the running back position, maybe add a third wide receiver. They've got pieces, though, on this offense. Jimmy Garoppolo has gone to the Super Bowl. He's won playoff games. He's also getting a little bit older. And I think with him being an unrestricted free agent, it looks like he's far 1 foot out of the door in San Francisco. It looks like he's headed somewhere else. Tampa Bay might be the best situation for him to walk into. Good defense that's they're well coached, good offense. They can add a little bit more run game. Tampa could still win this division. Bringing in Jimmy for a year or two and waiting to see who or what becomes available in the next couple of years could be massive. And I really like the fit of Jimmy Garoppolo in Tampa Bay. But guys, let me know down in the comment section below, where do you guys see Tampa going for their next starter? Who do you think they're going to try and bring in to be their starter next season? Would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. But that's going to do it for me in this one. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, leave a comment, let me know who you think they should sign. Just let me know down in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.